Welcome to Backyard Family Fun, the podcast from Pride Pool Spas and Leisure Products in Claxton and Savannah, Georgia. Celebrating 50 years serving our community, this family-owned business has spent decades helping create memories that last a lifetime. Whether you're a pool owner, a spa lover, or just looking to turn your outdoor space into a true retreat, we've got you covered right here on the Backyard Family Fun podcast. And as a crazy awesome deal for our Backyard Family Fun podcast fans, you get 10% off anything inside either location in Claxton and Savannah, excluding pools, hot tubs, or saunas when you mention the podcast. That's all you have to do. Go and visit the Claxton or Savannah Pride pools, mention the podcast, and get 10% off. Now that's a reason to celebrate. Welcome back to Backyard Family Fun, brought to you by Pride Pool Spas and Leisure Products. We are in the Savannah location of Pride Pools today, and I'm sitting down with my friend Marshall Smith, and this is going to be an exciting episode because if there's something I know, it's that when it gets a little chilly, we all get a little nervous about, can we still get in the water? And there's always this desire for us to get as much out of it as we can. As much as we can.
Well, welcome to me.
Yes, welcome to you. That's a welcome to you.
Welcome to me. I'm glad to be here as always. Thank you, Dee, for having us. Thank you for kind of coming in and let's, if you're going to call it a deep dive or a shallow dive on something, whatever the case may be, I get excited about it because when you live in Southeast Georgia, you're in the Sun Belt, right? So if you're in the Sun Belt, you think to yourself, swimming, it goes together. You want to swim as much as possible. And anybody who is invested in their backyard with a swimming pool and sees the value in swimming, they want to swim year-round if they can. So, yes, I'm excited to talk about the different alternative methods and ways to create that environment to make it pleasant to swim in year-round.
Absolutely.
You know, we might not be able to get to year-round, but we can probably get to 10 months out of the year at least, right? So, yeah. But there are resources that gets us to year-round.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what's exciting is being able to walk in to Pride Pools, talk to anybody that is, you know, greeting you at the door and saying, you know, I really want to swim longer. Can you point me in a direction of something I would need? And they're going to know.
That's right.
And I think that feels really good.
It is. And so I think when you start talking about alternative sources or resources to create longevity for swim time, you know, you can talk about, first and foremost, you can talk about solar. Solar is one of those things that, you know, as we evolve into the fall and winter months, it's still not as effective as it once was because obviously the sun is not as close to Earth as it was during the summer months. So it's still a good alternative, but it doesn't give you. It's still a very inexpensive resource to heat your water into those, you know, fall and winter months, but maybe just not quite as effective. So yes, you've got, you know, natural gas, you've got LP gas, you've got, you know, you've got electric, you've got, you know, HVAC type of systems, heat pump systems. Yes, there's a host of different ways to extend our swim seasons and I just kind of touched on those right then. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is a specific one that maybe you are inquiring or suggesting or whatever.
We've got some great questions from listeners about several of these things that you mentioned. First, you know, as far as pool heaters go, what types are available and how do you help us choose the right one?
Okay. Great question. And I would tell you that individual circumstances a lot of times plays a role in that decision making. And so when you're asking those personal questions about the environment that their pool's in, you know, the neighborhood could be, we have natural gas that runs through our neighborhood. Oh, well, perfect. Well, then that would be the way you would want to go. Or maybe you don't have the opportunity at natural gas, but then you can do LP gas or whatever the case is. So I think to answer that initial question is yes, we've got to find out what the backyard looks like based on amenities that are available. right?
Yeah.
So, and then you suggest to them, okay, well, what's going to work best in your particular situation based off of the resources that are available. And I think you do volume of water, you check a number of things to each circumstance, because I tell everybody, an in-ground pool is like a snowflake. They're none the same. None are the same. And so we treat, when it's time to extend our swim season and talk about heating a pool, we talk about it the same way. We ask those questions so we can make sure that people are getting the right resources to their pool to extend that swim season.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great question too about wanting to use the pool all year long or as close to all year long. If I want to do that, do I have to even think about winterizing?
Great question. And I would say no, because what you're doing is, I guess the term in our industry, when we use that term winterizing, that's kind of like a shutdown. In other words, it's when you winterize a swimming pool, it's either usually covered and or certain things are done to the plumbing. And so that would be what I would call winterization. There may be different people see that differently, but in our world and in Pride Pools world, when we say winterize, that means shut it down.
Right.
If you're heating the pool, obviously we're not shutting it down. So no winterization is required when it comes to extending the swim season, because one of the key components I tell people is that if you're open year round and it's all of a sudden we'll get that crazy little snowstorm like we had earlier this year, right? Yeah. So when it's got, below freezing for a certain period of time, moving water doesn't freeze. So as long as that water's moving, it can't freeze, and it won't freeze, especially at the rate that we're moving it with the pumps and filters that we use. So, I think that answers the question. I hope it does when it comes to winterization. None required when it comes to extending your swim season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk a little bit from there into the maintenance piece. Does extending the season mean more maintenance or just different kinds of maintenance?
Great question. Pretty much just different.
Okay.
And it's probably less too. So that's the beauty of that, is that you're going to treat it pretty much the same, but you're just going to do less of it because the requirement is going to be less, because once water temperature gets below 70 degrees, it's not near as volatile. And so it does, algae, spores, and things of that nature can't multiply in temperature, bodies of water that's above 70, below 70.
Okay.
And so that's an added benefit. You're now have two things. We have to make sure that, we're talking about heating that water. So guess what? We're still going to have water temperature that is the same as it was when we were during the summertime. So maybe back up off what I just said. So, I think that what you're going to find is that under normal conditions, when you get into the fall and winter and you've got the pool open year round, yes, that makeup changes, meaning that you're going to do things kind of the same, just a lot less of it, because water temperature drives everything. And so, but if we're looking to extend our swim season, as we're, one of the things that we're talking about today, that can have a different, you'll need to take the similar approach that you took during the summer with that care, because of the water temperature remaining above a certain temperature. So, so you want to treat it the same. If you anticipate trying to keep your pool at a certain temperature year round, then you would want to treat it the same way year round. But if you're just going to kind of heat as needed and want to heat when you want to swim, say you're going to, maybe you work and you travel and you've come home for 2 or 3 days and you want to swim while you're here, whatever the case may be. And you crank it up, you get the heat, you get it where you want it to be, and then you crank it back down once you leave, or whatever the case is. That's the beauty of that. So, things change a little bit, but it's all about water temperature. If water temperature stays up, you treat it the same year round. If you got water temperature that has definitely come down 10, 15, 20 degrees, gotten below 70, then you definitely can treat it differently.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as, you touched a little bit on the chemical balance, but what about the filtration? How does keeping the pool open longer affect the filter process? And do I need to do anything differently, if I want to keep it open longer?
No, and I would say that if you're keeping the pool open through October, through November, or if you're going to have it year round, if you're going to have it open year round, then it actually kind of makes things easier on the system, because it's not going through that shutdown period and then reopen. Because when you shut a pool down or winterize it, it's kind of like if you winterize your house, or if you leave, you have a summer home and you go away for 4 months or 5 months or 6 months and you come back to it, you have to kind of knock the dust off, and you have to
kickstart it.
You have to kickstart it to some degree.
That's right.
Takes a little more effort than if you were leaving it open year round. Same theory here.
Okay.
Hope I'm giving that a good
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And what it would So yeah, if you leave the pool open year round, you're able to back off on your normal routines because of the cooler temperatures, but you don't have that hibernation period where you're waking things back up again. So, which is good on the system. It's just more consistent, and we find that is a good thing for all parts involved in swimming year round, or just having the system open year round. Much easier to maintain, and we find longevity there too.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the, I think most, one of the biggest things I hear customers that come into Pride Pools talk about is how grateful they are they can drop off a water sample anytime. What should that look like if I'm in the cooler months? Am I dropping off water samples same routine as often?
Great question. And I would say it's like what we were just talking about. I think if once that water temperature drops below 70, they can kind of cut that in half. In other words, we recommend about every 4 to 6 weeks. Now you're about every 8 to 10 weeks. So you still want to get that water tested, just not near as often, not as required, because the volatility is not there anymore during those 4 months out of the year that we have here. So
yeah,
4 or 5 months. Yeah,
that makes sense. And that, in case you've missed it or didn't hear the episode where we were talking about that water testing. That water testing is going to give a full sort of DNA report.
Sure,
am I right?
Sure. That's a great analogy. Yeah, I would say, let's see, 12 or 13 that are what we consider vital when it comes to good water quality and making sure consumers are getting that peace of mind, so to speak, when it comes time to test that water. So when you're able to, cross-check water from those points of view in testing, that gives consumers peace of mind. Yeah, and that doesn't change though. That same test is the same year round, whether it's winter or summer or fall or spring. It's the same. However, what I will tell you is, because the system is sensitive, because we're talking about water analysis and water testing, the system, excuse me, is sensitive to water temperature. So if we know the water temperature is below 70, it will give me a different makeup. In other words, it will let me know, okay, we know that water is below 70 degrees. I'm not going to, because these are my readings, I'm going to tell it to do a fraction of what I would normally tell it to do, just because it's kind of that water is kind of going into somewhat of a hibernation mode.
Right.
Even though you've got it open and you're running that pool year round, because it's gotten water temperature below 70, you are now can treat it differently. So you're going to get the same quality testing. Just once we know it gets below 70, we do it a little different, because it now tells us, okay, that pool's in somewhat hibernation, and you need a fraction of this or a fraction of that under these conditions. So yeah, it's pretty much the same. Just it understands temperature, and it shifts for that.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. If someone's considering upgrading their pool setup so they can have year-round use, close to year-round,
Sure.
is there a starting place that you would suggest, we start here and we'll go from here?
And when you say here, are we talking about the budget? Or are we talking about the resource to heat the pool? What? Tell me what that looks
So
like.
product wise, I think was
okay.
the main question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So product wise would be whatever product that's going to use, whatever apparatus is going to be used to heat the water. Is that the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So yeah, I would tell you that depending on what we talked about earlier in the episode, we talked about different resources that are available, whether it be, gas heat. And there's two different forms of gas. You've got natural gas and you've got liquid petroleum, LP, right? So, if you're more rural and you're out, then you need an LP tank. The beauty of that's kind of an easy process. Excuse me. You can call your local gas company. They can set you up. We set the heater in place. It's connected. I don't want to get into the actual setup process, but I will say that that's one way. Natural gas, obviously, whether a city or municipality is delivering gas to the neighborhood or whatever through natural gas, that's another gold opportunity. And we recommend that. I would tell you from a cost perspective, when it comes time to heat your pool via gas, then natural gas would be the first alternative I would tell the customer to use. So back to the question is, gas is going to give you the immediate gratification. In other words, that's going to be the quickest. You're gonna heat that water fastest with natural or LP, either one of those two. The most cost-effective way is to just do it with natural gas if you've got that resource available. So that's basically maybe a 3x4 space.
Okay.
It's got to sit next to your filtration system, get plumbed in. The gas company comes in, hooks up the gas. It's got a thermostat built onto it. You press a few buttons and boom. And so we're off and running. Same way with natural gas, same way with LP. Those two operate and function the same way, essentially. The difference is the delivery method, whether it's natural or LP. So then you've got HVACs, or you've got what we call heat pumps. Heat pumps are great, but not for year-round, because once the ambient temperature gets to a certain threshold, it doesn't work. It won't heat.
Okay.
So ambient temperature is huge, and that's the reason why in the Florida market, because you tend to stay warmer climate year-round, very popular down there because they tend to work more year-round.
Right.
And you'll get the full use of the equipment. But I tell people that's one of the suggestions we ask, or one of the questions we ask, and when it's time to suggest what would work best for you. Do you want to swim year-round? Or do you want to extend your swim season? You want to swim 9 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year, then a heat pump is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
And it's going to be truly the most cost-effective long-term, but the system's a lot more expensive up front.
Right.
Than a regular gas or, natural gas or LP gas unit. They're about half. So you pay for that up front, but then the energy consumption is a fraction of what it costs to operate your pool in heating it. And then you've got that you can't get it quite year round because of ambient temperature. So, but it's been a popular way to go because consumers don't typically want to go out there on New Year's Day and go swimming. But some people might. So
that polar plunge thing you want to do,
polar
but
plunge.
outside
That's
of that,
right.
maybe
Don't even turn the heater on. Just let's go do the polar plunge. Have a lot of fun there. So yeah, I think heat pumps have gained traction in our market, and people tend to see the value in that, even though it's a little more upfront. They see the value in the long term in the energy savings, and they know they're not going to swim year round. So yeah.
Oh gosh, what a great explanation. That really made a lot of sense. And Marshall, it makes me appreciate the fact that it's so good to be able to come in and have this conversation with an expert at Pride Pools, because one of these choices might not be suitable for my environment and my lifestyle,
Right.
and my backyard and all of that. So to be able to sit down and sort of work that out, I think is really important.
Absolutely. Anytime you're going to invest in your backyard, especially with your swimming pool, and it's going to have that kind of impact on it, I tell people all the time, why spend money, thousands of dollars, to do something to your backyard when you can't touch it, feel it, smell it? In other words, you're sitting down with someone face to face, and you're not going online and punching in some numbers to say, yeah, ship that to me, and then hope and pray that it gets hooked up correctly, and or if it got hooked up correctly, that it works effectively. And so, we talk about shopping local. We talk about talking to local folks about what your needs and wants are, right? So yes, I think it's a huge plus. Obviously for us, but it's also for the consumer who realizes that they want to invest in their backyard even more by saying, I want to be in my backyard or in my swimming pool year round or close to year round. So I want to make sure I'm making the right decision for that. And that resource is here at Pride Pools with all the professionals that we have on staff that can answer those questions. And again, every situation is different. So we try to listen more so than we try to sell or try to offer. We want to listen first, disseminate what that looks like, and then try to give the best suggestion based on those particular scenarios.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'll be honest, I mean, there's something to be said about being able to call someone or walk in and talk to someone who knows the climate that I'm living in.
That's right.
I don't want to call somebody who's in another state or on the West Coast or somewhere else where they have no idea the kind of climate
Right.
that we have all year round. And, it makes sense that we want to swim longer here because we can.
Sure, that's right.
And they might not get that. There's just something to be said for
That's
that
right.
too.
I think it's uniquely situated because we have a location in Claxton, and then we have a location in Savannah. And believe it or not, that's only our two locations are about 54 miles apart from one another, but are two different dynamics. You've got coastal air, you've got a coastal environment in Savannah and a non-coastal environment in Claxton, and people say, well, what's the difference? I mean, our temperature, well, if on any given day, I bet you there's a 3 to 4 degree swing from here to there, whether it's cooler or hotter, either way, it's not going to be the same. That's first and foremost. And then you've got the salt air environment in the Chatham County area, the, Liberty County, the southern Liberty part, southern Bryan County, even probably in the Effingham County. So knowing that, like we do, understanding that, then we can suggest and comment on concerns or questions that may be arising from extending that swim season. So yeah, I mean we understand the climate and the dynamics of both locations as good or is better than anybody. So we think it's important to listen. That's that's one of the we believe that that's one of the assets that we bring to the table is that we like to listen more than we like to talk. And I know that sounds silly based on how much talking I'm doing right now, but I'm just making sure that everybody understands that we do listen and make sure that when consumers are making that type of investment, we want to make sure it's the right choice for them.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what it's all about is being able to say, hey, I can stand behind this. You're right. It's that investment that you're talking about and being able to, I want to get something back from my investments. I want to get some return. I want to get some enjoyment. I want to, have more time with my family. I want to have more parties in my backyard or whatever it is, to be able to invest in that idea and then see a reality.
Sure.
That's what it's all about.
It is. And as you said, investing in the backyard, and if it's like, if you took the summer and reflected on the time you spent in your backyard, and you say to yourself and your family, you're sitting at the table and having dinner, and you say, boy, now that I think about it, we were in our backyard 12 weekends out of 17 weekends of those swimming months or whatever the case may be. And you say to yourself, wow, we really had a great time. We enjoyed ourselves as a family. You had friends over, we had extended family over, whatever the case may be. And now, we're in Southeast Georgia. This is football region, right? So football is in full tilt, whether it be pro football, college football, high school football, whatever the case may be. And consumers can enjoy their backyards by putting in those heat pumps or those heaters and enjoy the pool while they're still enjoying the season with football season. Tailgating in the backyard, it was a different term for it, but I can't espouse it on the air. But we call that something else. That when you're in your backyard, you are not tailgating, but you're doing something else. But either way, you're enjoying your favorite team on TV and you're enjoying your investment in your backyard. So I guess it's just, why not, if it's a sanctuary that you get the most out of, why not spend it there year round if you can, for as long as you can?
Right.
So extend the swim season. We can help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, which I think is a really good question. How long? I would love to know how long the Pride Pool folks keep their pools open, and what makes the difference. I mean, when do you change that every year? Or you keep it open the same amount of time?
And you know what? Great question, and it kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier in the episode about longevity, and we talk about not disrupting so much of the normal flow of things. You tend to find things to last longer. So yes, to answer that question, I'm a year-round guy, stays open year-round, and I heat my pool, but I do not swim year-round. So it's open year-round. I extend my swim season, but I don't swim year-round. So I don't get in December and January and February typically.
Yeah.
But the pool is open because it's a beautiful aesthetic in your backyard. I'm fortunate that my backyard delivers that for me, and then having that pool right in the middle of it just makes it, just what you want to be able to look at. You don't want to look at a bunch of dead, ugly grass.
That's right.
Because it has died by then, right? So I'm still looking at beautiful crystal blue water. I just may not be swimming in it, but I don't make any adjustments to the pool and pump and filter. Now, I do adjust the run times because I don't have to run it as much because of the water temperature. But I never skip a beat. Everything's open year-round, pump and filters operating year-round. And, of course, I've got a heater on my pool, and because I'm rural, I have to use LP. I've got LP gas at home, so I have a tank, but it works great, and I enjoy it. And so it extends my swim season. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah.
I would tell you again, consistency is probably a great word to use in the pool world, the spa world, because when you take something and you have it humming during the summer, right? I'm just using an analogy of just whatever. Something's running, during the summer, and all of a sudden it comes October, and people say, well, we're not swimming, so let's just shut it down. You might can do that in the first year or so or two and get away with it, meaning this, that, we teach you how to shut it down. If you do decide you want to winterize, we go through step by step and how to do that as well. So know you got confidence that if you decided you want to just shut it down, because maybe you do move away and it's like a second home or whatever, and you want to winterize or shut it down, I would say we can show you that. We can do that. We even do it for you if you want us to. But I will say, more than likely, though, over the life of that pool, the pump and filter are going to go under more stress that way. And so your pump motor probably doesn't last near as long. So consistently, just like pretty much anything else in life, that if you consistently do the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result. You're going to get a longer runtime of the pump as long as you keep it open year round. So always taking that MO. I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always wanted to look in my backyard and see my pool.
Right.
So, instead of putting a cover over it. So and so from day one, I've always been a year-round guy. Just don't swim year-round.
Right.
So, and doing this, I can talk and speak to that as 20 plus years of having a pool in this backyard that I'm in now, I think I've replaced the pool pump once.
Oh, wow. That says a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
So I would tell you.
Because these things are meant to run.
They are. They're
meant to run.
They're meant to run. So they are designed. And to have it, well, even if you're shutting it off 4 to 6 or even 8 hours at a time, they're coming back on in that short window. When you shut a pump down and it's shut down for 30, 60, 90, 120, 180 days, that's when it doesn't respond well. When it's time to kick it into gear again, it just doesn't respond well. So internal windings on pumps and motors tend to not respond to shutdown time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I say longevity comes in consistency.
Yeah. And then when you have that, it's good to know that you've got yours open year round because I know where to go if I need to. But
there you go. Because we've got a heater on it too.
I'm saying, because then you get that nice, really super warm day out of nowhere. You at least could stick your feet in or
That's
something.
right. Because you know what we get in Southeast Georgia.
We get it.
Middle of January, sometimes we'll get a 72-degree day.
72
Yeah, it's like,
degrees.
oh, well, let's go. You know what? And that is definitely applicable here. So we can definitely, because again, when you've got the heater and you can forecast, you can say, oh, wow, next Tuesday is showing it's going to be in the 70s, whatever the case is. And you know it's going to be sunshine because that's what it's all about. You know, if the sun is out, you tends to bring that warmth.
We're going to get warm.
That's right. You got it. And then we can heat that water and it just makes it, well, again, just it's that pleasant environment.
Yeah.
And if you can, it tends to just bring people, family, friends together. It's just a destination, you know. It just brings people together. So,
Yeah, truly the home for backyard family fun.
There you go.
Come in here and ask all your questions. Savannah location or Claxton. Of course, we've got the links in the show notes of this episode. You can get all kinds of details on the things we've been talking about. Marshall, always a good time to see you.
It is a blast, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let the celebrations continue. The team at Pride Pools is excited to give you a huge anniversary special. Actually, 3 of them. To celebrate 50 years all year long, you can get up to $10,000 in savings on 3 anniversary fiberglass pools. There are 3 sizes to choose from: the backyard size, the family size, and the fun size. How cool is that? So stop by the Claxton or Savannah locations of Pride Pools or go to pridepools.com for more information. Thanks for listening. Come by and meet your local pool and spa experts in Claxton on Highway 280 West or in Savannah on Gateway Boulevard South, or go to pridepools.com. If you love backyard family fun as much as we do, be sure to give us a rating and review and subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And if you have a question or topic you'd love for us to cover, drop us an email, info@pridepools.com, or tap the links for Facebook or Instagram in the show notes of this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's go make a splash and have some backyard family fun.